The goal of enduring to the end is not to white knuckle it until you finally kick the bucket or whatever. It's stand strong. It's build yourself. It's reinforce yourself. It is continually improve yourself. It's not just hanging on to something and like, okay, we'll see how long it takes till my grip breaks. It's like, no, like you are going to put concrete around yourself to help yourself be more firm in wherever it is that you are standing. So that's an important distinction that I've come to realize, is that I've often perceived enduring to the end as, well, I do good stuff, so I just have to like not do anything too bad before I die. As long as I don't kill anybody, as long as I don't do any of like the egregious sins, I'll be good. That's enduring to the end. And it's like, no, it's not. Because the point of life is not just to white knuckle it and then we get into heaven.
Have you ever felt like you have this insatiable curiosity for life? If so, I want to welcome you to the Brunson Experience, a show about nothing in particular, but everything all at once. Join me on my journey to understand the world, ponder the mysteries, and learn from the greats.
Righty, part 5. I am so sorry this has taken so long. This one, like, it's such a simple concept. Part 5, Endure to the End. This is part 5 of the series on the Gospel of Jesus Christ. To recap, if you are new to this, I believe that definitions are important. I believe that it affects the way we see the world. This was my attempt to video document / figure out what I believe, why I believe it. So I want to dive into a couple pieces here. Number 1, enduring to the end is such a funny thing because it is truly the simplest step. You just keep doing what you've been doing. I think a couple things that make it difficult though. Number 1, just because something's easy, well, sometimes particularly because it's easy, it becomes very difficult. Everyone knows that eating excessive amounts of sugar is probably not the best for us, but we keep doing it because just a pain in the butt to want to quit. Just like that, I would say also keeping your faith intact. I really do believe that faith is a conscious daily choice. I guess for some people, maybe it's not. And I've talked to a lot of people lately that have told me, yeah, no, for me, it's the simplest thing on earth to just believe. It is not that way for me. And you guys have listened to a few episodes. You know that about myself. You know that about me and how I operate. For me, it has been a constant, active choice to choose to believe. Now, why do I keep choosing to believe? Number 1, I've had experiences that have shaped me. There are things that I really don't know how to explain any other way except that there's clearly more out there than just what we perceive with our eyes. So that's part number 1. But here's where it gets tricky, though. I've had that experience, but it doesn't mean it just is always on the top of my mind. That's where the choice comes in. The choice to continually push forward, to continually make good decisions. I think that spirituality is the one that's the hardest to track, but has the largest returns. Good examples, take every part of our lives. Socially, if we don't invest in ourselves socially, usually within about 2-3 months or so, we're just like, holy smokes, I am really lonely. I wish I had friends, right? If we take the gym or physical health as an example, similar kind of concept. Within a few months, we might start to notice, I don't feel as good, I'm starting to look differently, whatever. Spirituality, I feel like it could take years before we start to see the results of whatever choices we're making day to day. That's why it's super tough. That's what makes it super difficult all along, is that it is the hardest to track and it's the hardest to measure. Physicality is super easy to measure. Social, not as easy. Mental's easier to measure. There's so many things that we do to be a well-rounded person that are measurable, and spirituality is by far, in my opinion, the least measurable. And that's what makes it tough, is that you can look down the road 5 years later and go, ooh, I am not the kind of person that I wish that I was. Well, what happened? Well, 5 years ago, I let myself slip off on this end. And that's happened to me several times, where I've gone, holy smokes, I am not connected to God, and I'm miserable now. And it deeply affects me. So enduring to the end is that simple understanding that what we do day to day does matter, but it won't matter for a long time. And if we take it to the other end, if you really invest in your spirituality over years, decades later, you get to reap those benefits in an enormous way. There's a confidence that comes. There is a sense of well-being, a headspace kind of presence. We all know that we are our best selves when we are not stressed out and self-loathing and all those other nasty little things, right? When you have your headspace about you, when you feel connected to your spiritual root, you're just confident, plain and simple. You are at peace. You stop chasing stupid things. People that are really connected to their spiritual root aren't going to go sabotage relationships to go make a buck. But if you're super disconnected and you're starving for something you can't explain, you're going to think, oh man, if I just make a few more dollars, then I'll be able to be happy. That's what endure to the end really means to me. It means don't lose sight of the goal. Keep yourself connected. And the benefits, as I've mentioned, you're going to stop chasing the wrong stuff. When you're connected with God and with spirituality, I believe you stop chasing weird things that don't actually make you happy. And that goes the same with relationships, right? I mean, we all think that, well, and we've been programmed to believe this, by the way. We all think that if we buy certain things, it'll improve our social standing. And it can be to some degree, and I'll admit that. But notice every car commercial, and I hope I'm never sponsored by Ford, so I'm going to say this, but I saw a Ford commercial recently that shows this happy family playing on the beach and having this great time. And the dad's kind of smiling and sits back contentedly as he folds his arms and goes, family time. And then it goes Ford. So what they're implying is if you want your family to be more happy and connected, you have to go buy a Ford so you can take them camping. That is obviously not the case. But we believe it, right? We believe, if I can just buy a boat, then I'll have all the friends on earth. No, it's actually not true. Your friends will just use you for your boat. Or your not-so-friends. The same thing goes. When you connect to your spiritual root, you're already at peace. You show up as the best version of yourself among your peers. When you're at your best, whoever I'm talking to right now, when you're at your best, analyze how you are and how you show up to the world around you. You're probably way more funny. You're probably way more chill. You're probably way more engaging, positive, optimistic. Who doesn't want to be around that person? The best version of you is a great person to be around. So why aren't we the best version of ourselves? Well, often it's because we're out of touch with some important things. And it's not just spirituality, but I think it's the hardest to track and the easiest to do day to day. It's a very simple process. So find your root, show up the right way, improve every part of your life. Another thing that I've been considering. On my mission, I served an LDS mission to southern Russia. And the language there is different, right? So we translate a lot of things just wholesale over. So the word, endure to the end, I think it was preterpet do konca, which means to survive almost, right? To hang on there and not give up, but survive to the end. And they changed it at one point when I was out there to, I think it's dostayat, which means to stand firm or stand strong. So I like that comparison. The goal of enduring to the end is not to white-knuckle it until you finally kick the bucket or whatever. It's stand strong. It's build yourself. It's reinforce yourself. It is continually improve yourself. It's not just hanging on to something and okay, we'll see how long it takes till my grip breaks. It's no, you are going to put concrete around yourself to help yourself be more firm in wherever it is that you are standing. So that's an important distinction that I've come to realize is that I've often perceived enduring to the end as, well, I do good stuff, so I just have to not do anything too bad before I die. As long as I don't kill anybody, as long as I don't do any of the egregious sins, I'll be good. That's enduring to the end. And it's no, it's not. Because the point of life is not just to white-knuckle it, and then we get into heaven. Speaking of which, and I'm going to go off a whole tangent here, but there's something I think that's really misunderstood in our religion. And obviously, I'm not speaking for the church. I'm just speaking as someone who has studied some of our doctrine. And I think there's this huge misunderstanding. Who's going to hell actually in our society? I mean, nobody. We believe that Christ already paid the price for every person that came to earth. Now, you can, with the exceptional few, get sent to, as we call outer darkness, which is where Satan is. And you have to work pretty hard at that. The average person wouldn't be capable of even getting there if they wanted to. Because you have to have a perfect knowledge of Christ and deny it, which nobody has that I know of. And so, anyways, it's funny, we talk about like, oh, you just don't want to go to hell. And it's like, no, we don't really go to hell. We just have really, we're our own judges, right? And that's what I understand from the scriptures, that we actually judge ourselves and say, yeah, here's where I feel most comfortable based on the way I've lived my life, based on the kind of person I have become. It's not like, oh, I stole that snickerdoodle one time and now I'm going to go to like the next kingdom. It's like, no, who have you become? What kind of person are you? What's your character? And based on your character, where do you feel comfortable? A cool distinction in my mind, but it also changes the way I see enduring to the end. It's not about if I can avoid stealing someone's snickerdoodle cookie, I might be able to make it to the top kingdom, or maybe I'm going to make it to the second kingdom, but I could avoid making it to the third kingdom. It's a weird whole like ranking system that I think involves, I just have to avoid doing bad stuff. Whereas truly enduring to the end, I feel like, is becoming, changing, evolving, letting God shape your character and your personality and the way you show up even subconsciously. And that's where I see a lot of power, is that God can change what feels natural to you. Everyone tells me that repentance, and we've talked about this in the repentance episode, is you just have to go and feel bad about yourself for a while, but I don't believe that. Now what I believe is as we draw closer to Christ and we let him shape the way we see the world, our desire will change. And I think that's part of the continuum. As your desire changes, you hack the system. You don't have to go white knuckle it all the time. Let Christ heal, not even heal, let him evolve the way you see the world. And what feels natural will be aligned with God. Okay, the last thing I'm going to say. I believe that most of our beliefs are fairly subjective. Our reality is a little bit shaped by what we choose to believe. I think that there is a true reality, and this is a whole philosophical quandary that we could go down. But I believe that there is a true right and a true wrong. I don't think most of us have the capacity to understand it because, frankly, we're not fifth-dimensional beings like God is. We're just simple and stupid. So there is truth in the universe, and there is true reality in the universe, I think. However, most of us don't have the perception to see it. What I mean by that is you could watch someone run and jump off a cliff, and you think they're about to plummet to their death, right? And as far as you know, and if you saw it from a distance and you saw them jump off a cliff, you'd be like, I just saw someone literally die. And you would be traumatized. And it wouldn't be fake. Your emotions and what you experienced would not be fake. Like, you would be actually traumatized. However, if you're watching from the ground and you saw them pull the parachute and go, oh, they're base jumpers, you would change your entire perspective and you actually be a little bit stoked about it and be feeling electric that day. Like, holy smokes, I just saw a dude base jump. He jumped off a cliff and then parachuted down. Both of them aren't lying and they're both not wrong. What they saw is what they saw. And their reality is going to be an expression of that. I think it's the same thing. What we choose to believe, and I think that we think that belief just happens to us. I don't know if I totally agree with that. I think that we make choices. What we choose to believe shapes the way we see the world. We can reinforce any idea into our brain, and it becomes reality. I believe that firmly. I have tried to find things that were outside of that I believe are truth. Now, again, maybe I've reinforced this so long, but I truly do believe there is a God. Truly. From the bottom of my heart, I believe that. I believe he knows me. I believe he understands me. I've mentioned in one of my other podcasts on this series, that's some of the only things that I really have a strong belief in. Everything else is a choice for me. I'm choosing to reinforce the idea of my own Latter-day Saint doctrine because I find it meaningful. I find it beneficial. I think it really helps me become a better person and live a more evolved life. That's it. And as I choose to believe it, and as I choose to keep going to church every Sunday and getting involved and reading my scriptures and praying, I do all the things. I find my belief matches that. I think that I could do all those things, but if I was choosing to believe it was wrong, again, I believe it's a choice. If I was choosing to believe I was deceived or whatever, it would also be true. The actual fact of the matter, I don't really know. I won't know till the next life. But I have two sides of a coin. I'm going to be glass half full on this. I'm going to choose to unite myself with ideas and concepts that benefit me and I'm going to choose to reinforce those ideas throughout the duration of my life. That's the way I see things. So that might sound a little bit of a sad thing for some people, because I know that other people, they experience it in a much different way than me. It's just true. It's not optional. It's just complete and absolute truth. And for me, I experience those moments, but my day-to-day is not that way. My day-to-day is saying, I could choose to find doubt here, and instead I'm choosing to find belief. And it's not easy for me. It's not. It's like pushing a boulder up a hill. But guess what? My life is so much better because of my faith. So much better. There are things I don't agree with inside my faith. Like, there's some shame culture that I'm not a huge fan of. I just gently sidestep that stuff. And everything else, I double down. I choose to believe it. I reinforce it in my mind. And if for some reason, God forbid, I am horribly wrong in the next life, I think I will not regret it. I don't. Because, like, what are my options here? Either, option one, it all goes black at the end of our life. Don't really believe that, but let's just say it does. I do not think I'll regret one day that I've lived. I will not regret every church I went to. I will not regret every Sunday school lesson that I had to endure. I don't think I will. Because I think it helped me become a better person. And I think it helped me show up in a better way for the rest of my life. I also think that if it does end up being exactly as I hope it is, and I choose to believe it is, I'll be very happy that I made those choices. And alternatively, let's just say there's something else where we show up and God goes, you were all close, but let me really correct maybe some things that you misunderstood. Oh, well, I'm sure he'll admire my effort and my dedication and the way that I tried and the way I let things evolve me. So I have my insurance plans for all of those. That's why I don't just learn truth inside my own faith. I really do talk to people from all faiths. I've read parts of the Quran. I've read the teachings of Buddha because I want all the truth that I can. I want it all to evolve me. But my center is my own faith. Anyway, so that's a whole thing. I hope that the reason I'm sharing so much and so intimately right now is because I know that a lot of people out there feel the way that I do. They want to find a place inside their faith without saying, I believe it without reservation. Because a lot of you guys that are listening, you probably don't believe it without reservation. And it's tough, and I get that. That's what I'm sharing. I just make active choices every day to reinforce these beliefs in my mind. I choose to live the standards and let them bless my life. I truly do not understand the coffee thing. It doesn't make sense to me at all. And when I say at all, 0%. Because we drink caffeine anyways and, whatever else. The point is, though, I don't drink it. And I never have, because I want to unite with my people and my faith, and I want to let it bleed into every part of my life the best way it can. So there's some shower thoughts for you. That is my Endure to the End segment, wrapping this up. I know this was horribly scattered, but I wanted to share some ideas that I found meaningful. So stay tuned. We're going to move on to some other things after this, and I hope that you guys will keep listening. And we'll see you on the flip side. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. As always, I'm not running ads. So the best thing you can do to show thank you, if you got any kind of value out of this at all, please leave a review and share it with your friends. We'll see you on the next episode.